Hello everyone and welcome to the Video Games for Fun Weekly Podcast. I am Viddy of Video Games for Fun. It's been a while since I've done a podcast recording, hasn't it? Well, welcome back. And as I said in an update video on the YouTube channel Video Games for Fun, which again is my YouTube channel if you happen to be listening to this audio only, I said for this podcast, for this episode, that I was going to be talking mainly about the online events, namely, PAX, the Nintendo Directs, E3, etc. But I'm also going to be talking about, which, not surprisingly, in fact it was pretty sudden, the Mario Anniversary Direct. Wow. Well, I guess it's 1.5 topics today, rather than the one topic. Nope, let's just get started and bring back the Video Games for Fun Weekly Podcast proper, shall we? Good. So, a few days before the recording of this podcast, suddenly we were given a Nintendo Direct for the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. That was released on the NES or Famicom, pretty much, in 1985. That was a few years before I was born. And with that anniversary, we had quite an interesting direct, and I want to express my thoughts about it, and you're welcome to do so in the comments or my social medias. First of all, we'll just go through the things mostly in order, shall we? The Game & Watch Mario, which allows you to play Super Mario Bros. And I believe Super Mario Bros. For Lost Levels, in the form of a Game & Watch or a repackaged Game & Watch, which I think much like the original one, which I don't know that much about, also, shows you the time and other little Game & Watch things. I will admit, the Game & Watch being as influential as it is, it's good to bring it back in some form to celebrate the Mario games. So I'm not going to get it, but it is an interesting thing to release. So that's all good. Now, speaking of the previous podcast episode's discussion of the Wii U games, we get another Wii U game, it's all good, on the Switch, Super Mario 3D World, which I think has maybe minor differences, but it's still pretty much the same game. And Super Mario 3D World, it's there if you want to play it. I have played some of it on the Wii U, but I've never got around to completing it. But it might make more sense to get this new one because it is going to have Bowser's Fury added onto it. So it's Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. The teaser for Bowser's Fury just seemed to be kind of a dark, stormy night sort of a thing. So at this moment, we know next to nothing about it, and we'll hopefully get more information about it. I might actually get this game, partially because of that, and it's coming out next year. So I think it's February 2021, they said. So Super Mario 3D World, while certainly not as ambitious as most of the mainline 3D Mario games like Odyssey and all that, I think it's good to have it in some form on the Switch and, be good to have some, multiplayer with it again. And Bowser's Fury, well, I really want to know more about this Bowser's Fury thing. It looked a bit dark and stormy in that. So that was good. Super Mario Bros. 35, which is a free online Battle Royale style game where you play what I assume is pretty much Super Mario Bros. With all the levels and enemies, I think, the same. But with the main difference being that there's 35 players, well, I guess up to 35 players, where they do the normal things you would do in the original game, but it affects them as well. So, like, you put more enemies onto another player to hinder their progress, you get power-ups, and it's a case of who can get to the finish line first. I imagine if the levels are intact and all, I'm sure it's a race to the finish if you can use the warp zones and things like that. And even then, you can just maybe place more and more enemies in what are pretty easy levels. And honestly, this is a game I could get behind, actually. It looks fun to play, although Nintendo Switch's online, well, I don't really want to talk about that in this podcast at the moment, but yeah, the Nintendo Switch Online is kind of, I'm not sure if it's going to be, for this game, is going to be as erratic as, say, the multiplayer Super Mario Maker 2. I've heard that's been improved, but seriously, Super Mario Maker 2's multiplayer was almost unplayable unless you had 2, maybe even 3 people playing. But more than that, Mario would jump slow like this. But besides that potential problem, Super Mario Bros. 35 is limited, which means when it's going to be playable on Nintendo Switch Online, it will only be playable for some time. Tetris 99 doesn't seem to be that way. You can play Tetris 99 for, I guess, pretty much forever. Why do we have a limited amount of time to play Super Mario Bros. 35? I will come back to the limited nature of it, but yeah, why do that? Anyways, let's talk about something a little bit more positive than the online and limited availability, shall we? Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. So, I guess this can be considered a Mario Kart spin-off. We're not getting Mario Kart 9 anytime soon, and come on, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a great game and it's been selling so well, but a live action, I guess, Mario Kart sort of a game. It's got a camera on the kart that your character, like, Mario or Luigi, drive on, and I guess you make the tracks yourselves. It does look expensive though, and looking at my flat room now, I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough room for it, although I could move my table and make more than just small circular circuit tracks. Whether I get it or not, I don't know, but more Mario Kart is a good thing, and it was kind of unexpected, I guess. We could have had more, Mario Kart, I guess, Tour. Yeah, Mario Kart Tour on the phone. Or maybe we would have been surprised and Nintendo's like, hey, guess what? We're making Mario Kart 9 or whatever the next one's going to be called. But Mario Kart is still going strong. That's all I can say about that. I kind of hope Mario Kart Live Home Circuit is not too expensive, but it's very likely going to be. But I should move my table and maybe get it and make some Mario Kart live action racing. That would be fun. And of course, very briefly, there was Mario themed merch, of course, including a Splatfest for Splatoon 2. Yeah, Splatoon is a bit of a tongue twister, sorry. And there's also, of course, going to be Mario-themed items for Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'll still be playing Animal Crossing New Horizons by the time that Mario stuff comes out on it. But yeah, that's all well and good. I don't think I could get some of the Mario merch where I live, or in the very case I'll have to get it delivered to me from the UK or America or places like that. But it's Mario merch. All well and good. And Super Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendo, which had essentially revised versions of Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels, Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. 3, is now on Nintendo Switch Online. I've actually been playing it lately. It's great. It's great fun. It's actually good to play Super Mario Bros. All-Stars on the Switch rather than the Super Nintendo. I do actually have the original cartridge. And yeah, it's a great game, all things considered. It also gives me my first chance to play Super Mario Bros. For Lost Levels, because I've never really played Lost Levels before, for understandable reasons, but I guess we'll leave it at that. But yeah, Super Mario Bros. All-Stars on Super Nintendo, on the Super Nintendo section online. That's great. Now, for the thing that was seemingly rumoured for months, I believe, it finally happened. Though it's a little bit more complicated than that, but I was very, very excited to see Super Mario 3D All-Stars, I think that's its name, which features enhanced ports, not remasters, enhanced ports, I say, of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. Free 3D platform Mario games that we can play on the Switch. As great as that news is, I've had some time to process it, and there are some positives and negatives about the release of this game that I really want to discuss. First of all, well, again, those are great games. anyone with a Switch can play those games or rediscover those games. If you haven't played those games and you've got a Switch, you have no excuse to miss out on playing these games. And considering I do already own these games, I will admit the slight changes to it do seem promising. There's a music player, I believe. You can listen to the music tracks from each of the 3 games. Super Mario Sunshine is in widescreen. That is especially good. And I think even Super Mario Galaxy has been touched up a bit as well. Just like Super Mario 64, it has a higher resolution, seems to run a bit smoother. Yeah. However, there are problems, besides the fact that I own all 3 of these games. Super Mario 64, for one, it's not in widescreen or anything like that, from what I can tell. Which, is it any higher resolution, or is it any better, or is it any smoother than, say, the Wii U Virtual Console release of Super Mario 64? Like, I've got the original cartridge of Mario 64, and I've got the Wii U Virtual Console version, and either way, I can just play that great game. But Super Mario Sunshine has, widescreen, which really makes it look better than it did on the GameCube. So why? Well, it's the Nintendo 64, I guess that's to be expected, but Super Mario Sunshine has a little bit more effort put into it, I guess. Anyways, the 2 main problems are, of course, where's Super Mario Galaxy 2? And the limited availability. Again, I mentioned this in the Super Mario Bros. 35 announcement. Let's talk about that. Now, Super Mario Galaxy 2 can be best described as DLC for Super Mario Galaxy, but it is still a full game with many, many fun levels and challenges that I really enjoyed playing. I do prefer the first Mario Galaxy in terms of innovation alone, but Super Mario Galaxy 2 is probably one of my favorite games from the previous decade, because the first Mario Galaxy was in 2007. And I really don't understand why Mario Galaxy 2 isn't on there as well. It's quite possible that Nintendo may not care about it as much as the first game, considering how innovative that one was, and Mario Galaxy 2 might get released at a later date, but it still doesn't make any sense. Sure, you've got 3 games, but what about 4? There's 4 great 3D Mario games that could provide hours of enjoyment. Where's Galaxy 2? It doesn't really make any sense. Not unless it turns out, oh, by the way, when you get all 3 games, we'll include 2 as well, because I don't know. But what's even more baffling is that the release of this game, perhaps more digitally, and I guess even physically, is going to be limited. Now, there could be a few reasons behind this, of course. It is the Mario anniversary, and the Mario anniversary is only going to be temporary. We've got Zelda coming up next year, and there are plenty of other games, first party or otherwise, to play. I get that. But, and also there's the pandemic. But a limited availability for Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and I guess for the digital version alone, it only lasts for some months or something? What about if people don't have time to play the game? What if they're on holiday? What if they don't have enough money? What if they're saving up for it? It really baffles me as to why this game will just be taken off, taken off the shop after a set amount of time. Now, actually, I did talk about Pikmin 3 in the previous podcast episode, and to the best of my knowledge, it has now been put back, or it's going to be put back on the Wii U eShop, even though we're getting Pikmin 3 on the Switch. And I think Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is following a similar pattern. And after doing that podcast, I'm aware that some people thought that people like myself might have been overreacting a bit to Pikmin 3 be taken off the Wii U, because it's coming to the Switch, or you can still get a physical copy. Stop complaining. Yet, I still think it wasn't a good move for Pikmin 3 to be taken off the shop, and it's not a good move to only have this 3D Mario compilation only available digitally, and I guess physically even limited, for a short time. What if people wanted to, get this game down the line? What if they wanted to play it again? Some people have said on Twitter that this is why people pirate games, possibly even Nintendo ones. I get it that the pandemic has made things harder to distribute, perhaps. It's made it harder to make games, and this is an anniversary celebration. But why? And even with Super Mario Bros. 35, Tetris 99 has been there pretty much since its release. It's not been taken off. So why take off Super Mario Bros. 35? So, yes, some people are upset, maybe a little bit too upset about some of the aspects of the announcements of these Mario games. However, it's still good news. I'm actually not sure if I'm actually going to get 3D All-Stars because I want more than just widescreen Mario Sunshine and a music player. I guess some people were even hoping for a remaster. And no, I'm not talking about remaster Thousand Year Door. Like, yeah, Super Mario 64 remaster, Mario Sunshine remastered, Galaxy or even Galaxy 2 remastered. Maybe people are still wanting a Mario Sunshine 2, Galaxy 3. But look, 3D Mario in its purest form is something to be happy about, something to celebrate. And we've also got other Mario-themed stuff, including Mario All-Stars, which means you can play the Super Nintendo of Super Mario Bros., Super Nintendo version of Super Mario Bros., as well as 3 other 2D Mario games. There's a Mario Kart game. Super Mario 3D World is joining the other many Wii U games and coming to Switch. Despite its problems, I think we can just have fun with the Mario games. That's all we can do. But yeah, seriously, if people are upset about the limited availability, Nintendo or any other publishers, developers who think along similar lines, I mean, sure, some of us who hunt for physical games, it's hard. Something like, say, Harvest Moon 64 was a Nintendo 64 game that was very limited in how it was distributed, purely because I think the publishers or whoever weren't sure if a game would sell well, which means finding Harvest Moon 64, an actual cartridge of it, you have to have an extremely deep wallet. But it's not the same thing. This is not a somewhat niche game. This is Mario we're talking about. Still, focusing on positives, great Mario games to play. Let me know what you think or what you thought of the Direct, what you think of these Mario games that are coming out. Are you going to get them? Are you going to play them? Do you think the specific availability is a problem? Do you think that should really not... Do you think it should not be limited? Let me know. And all I can say is, happy 35th anniversary, Super Mario Bros. I think Mario's been around for longer than that, really. When you look at Mario Bros., the simple arcade-style game, and Donkey Kong with Jump Man. But all I can say is, it's me, Mario. Now on to the next topic. So, the next main topic that I was going to, the main topic for this podcast that it was going to be, if it weren't for the Mario announcement, was the general nature of online gaming events and conventions. If it weren't for the pandemic, least of all in Melbourne, Australia, or Australia in general, I guess, we could have gone to PAX Australia, gone to this big event over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 days, go around this big centre and play all the latest games or play the games that are going to come out, see what the developers are up to, engage in multiplayer sessions, you name it. Now, understandably, PAX, it's not been cancelled, it's now been streamed. And on Twitch, actually. At this moment, it's going to be about a week until the main PAX event starts, but I actually have quickly skimmed over a couple of Twitch live streams for PAX, where they have talked about a few indie games, such as Enchanted, and not Enchanted as in enchanting spell, but in as in staying at the inn. Reign of Pain, Beyond the Veil, which I believe is a text-based horror game. Gear Tactics, Florence. In some cases, the initial PAX streams are highlighting the work that developers in Australia, are really focusing on some great independent games, and as is general with indie games, some of them look really unique and really beautiful. And it's great to see PAX or any other company or, business or whoever promoting these so we can see them. And they've even done a Japbox stream for charity as well. So PAX is already going well, even before, I guess, the main events actually start. There is a schedule for these events, similarly to the actual events where, at 1 o'clock there's this, lecture or discussion with developers, or there's this tournament or whatnot. And of course, you can ignore those if you like and queue up for 2 hours and play the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. 2-hour long waits. Well, it does look like we won't be able to actually play any games really, on the PAX streams. Maybe there's a small possibility someone might start a multiplayer tournament and anyone who has a copy of the game. A bit like Mario Kart 8, for example, a tournament code perhaps, and maybe you can play Mario Kart 8 tournaments. But yeah, we can't play any of the actual games, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully they might have an extended discussion, trailers, gameplay, footage of whatnot, of some exciting upcoming games. In a ways, we've already had that with a few independent games, most of which are being done by Australian developers. So I'll be interested to see next week as to what games are going to be shown. I might even try to look at some of the discussions, like with the 2018 PAX I went to. I went to one of those little theatres where there were developers or other people working in the industry talking on a panel about independent games and the Switch, namely independent games being distributed onto the Nintendo Switch, which I think I said, what I said about it was that the Nintendo Switch is actually a good system, maybe more so than the others, to distribute independent games. And not just because it's on the go, but also because of the business model and, of course, Nintendo promoting independent games. And I'll come back to that. In some cases, regardless of the pandemic, the online gaming events are certainly good things to have. Even on the podcast, I have talked about the PlayStation 5 conference, the Xbox Games Showcase, and at least one of the Nintendo Directs, which revealed the Shin Megami Tensei games. So E3 is obviously not on this year, and the pandemic has made it harder to, do consistent showcases, maybe release games when they were going to be released. With E3, I don't think I was ever going to be able to go to E3, mostly because I live in Australia and, travel expenses and all that. Maybe I was always going to go to E3 one day, but at the very least, we'll just have the online events, which I guess are not just for E3, but we've got the conferences from a variety of developers around the world, really, just promoting their games, really. Sure, E3 wasn't without its problems, and the most often talked about thing was the presentations which would feature the people working on the games, the developers, the people in charge of the companies, some dance and music numbers, I guess. But when we've got the PlayStation 5 conference and the Xbox Showcase, I think even if there wasn't a pandemic, it's still good to have these online gaming events just so we can see them. Though I will admit some of the reception to these online events has been less than positive. The Nintendo Directs especially, because it's looking hard to an extent to make games or work on games the same way that, people used to before all this pandemic stuff started. I'm not saying we would have got more Nintendo Directs, but perhaps some of the bigger games, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, etc., might have been, worked on better rather than, people working from home. And I can be patient for those games, I really can. Yet when people look at, I guess the Nintendo Partner Showcase and ask, is there any more Smash Brothers news or Breath of the Wild 2 news? Don't get upset about it. It's a partner showcase for a reason. Though, really, the partner showcase recently for Nintendo mostly seemed to consist of rhythm games. Oh my goodness, there's a Kingdom Hearts game coming to Switch. Oh, it's a rhythm game. Well, there's the Kingdom Hearts fan in me talking, I guess. But seriously, Kingdom Hearts on Switch? That could have been a thing. Nope, it's a rhythm game. There was quite a few rhythm games there. To be fair, that showcase wasn't as good as the Independent or the Nindies World Direct. There's a little too many games for me to talk about there. But the key thing was that more of the games in that independent Nintendo showcase looked really beautiful. I know I've said it before, but some of the contemporary independent games coming out, they look more beautiful and have better art direction than a lot of the bigger name contemporary releases. And I wish I could play these or stream these or really have a look at these independent games and, show them to you, I guess. We can all talk about them. I'm especially keen to hear about the independent games you've been hearing about recently, and not just from Nintendo, but also, on the PlayStation, Xbox consoles, the PC and all that, because we really need to look a little bit more of the independent games rather than, the big name releases. Like, I'm looking forward to the big name releases, but let's look at the independent games some more. A few of the independent games talked about it, I think at PAX and across other showcases, have also been in development for a little while as well, so it's good to have more concrete information about their releases. Also, the independent showcase for Nintendo also revealed that Untitled Goose Game, a game I've already played and reviewed, is going to have 2-player co-op. Honk honk. That's actually good news. It gives me another excuse to play Untitled Goose Game. I believe it's probably only a LAN-only multiplayer, or it could be online. I still haven't got around to, say, playing Super Mario Kart online with someone, but Untitled Goose Game, whether it's online or not, a 2-player option, that's good. So honk honk indeed. So, I guess when I look at the online gaming events, I do kind of, regardless of the pandemic, miss the old way, the video game industry, used to be. But pandemic or not, maybe we have to accept that more and more things are going to be shown online these days. Events, gaming online and gaming events online is just becoming so big that sometimes it's almost hard to keep track of it all. I will admit, at PAX, especially the 2019 one, it was easy to get lost and anxious, and of course there were the long queues. I'm not necessarily one for big events like that. I mean, it was good to go, but I'm here right now alone in my flat, waiting for the next PAX stream, and I don't need to be queuing up for 2 hours or be surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds of people in a large space, and just quietly look at what games are coming out and what developers are saying and what we think about aspects of games, certain aspects of games like, storytelling, characters, graphics, music. It's like what will happen after this pandemic is over. The world is going to be changed after it is. And maybe more and more of the game showcases will be done online. Minus, of course, the potential to actually go to a screen and actually play a demo of a game that's coming out, like I did at PAX with Kingdom Hearts 3, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Luigi's Mansion 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake, you name it. But maybe we won't always get to play that. It does make me think that there should be more demos for games. Like, not every game on the Nintendo Switch can have a demo attached to it. But I did play the demo of, say, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, and then I got Ori and the Blind Forest after playing the demo. And, well, I liked it. I liked Ori and the Blind Forest. And that's an independent game as well that is simple yet compelling with its gameplay and beautiful with its art direction. And a lot of other indie games follow that pattern as well. Maybe we'll just have to accept that games are not really going to be playable as much, even though I think there should be more demos. It is good that we can look at streams and conferences and really see the hard work as much as possible that people are putting into the upcoming pieces of interactive entertainment that we're going to see. Would you prefer there to be less online gaming events, especially after all this especially after the world has gone back to normal or something? Well, let me know. Or, well, if PAX is going to be coming back in 2021, I think there's even a competition for it, to get tickets for it. So hopefully we will see PAX being an actual, event where people turn up in 2021. But for now, PAX, maybe even E3, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, it's just about the online things now. And the developers can film at home saying, check out this amazing game. Like I can say, sitting in front of this microphone, that is the end of the Video Games for Fun Weekly Podcast. Oh my gosh, I've enjoyed doing this podcast again. It's been, 1, 2, 3 weeks? I've lost count. That's what time does to you in a pandemic. Time just doesn't, it feels weird. But above all, I think in some ways there will be a part 2 to this episode because PAX will have more to reveal next week. And of course, there's always new gaming topics to discuss, new gaming news. I am still going to prepare a specific topic or episode about video game music and how it immerses the player. And I've actually started to master Discord better for not just online multiplayer, but also a podcast discussion as well. You're welcome to suggest topics or join in with me, perhaps. Do you have Discord or social media? Of course, that means that I do have my social medias, which are, Twitter, Instagram, and Discord, as well as I mentioned towards the beginning of this episode, if you happen to be listening to this audio only, still got to get to work on that, for YouTube channels. Video Games for Fun, ViddyOGamesForFun, that is my main YouTube channel where the video version of this podcast goes up. And Viddy Plays is mostly properly going on again. Animal Crossing, by the time you've heard this, there was even a StarCraft video on it, Earthbound and Resident Evil 4, and I'm also, through Discord, going to do some online multiplayer with my friend Mary. Yes, we're playing Age of Mythology on Thursday, the Thursday after this recording. Maybe I'll get to play some online multiplayer with you as well, including Friday the 13th on the Switch. Just hopefully my internet will be good enough, as will this podcast be. But yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Let me know overall what you thought of the Mario Direct and the nature of online gaming and gaming events and where they're headed. And hopefully I might be able to talk more about PAX in next week's podcast, the Video Games for Fun Weekly Podcast, Episode 5. Yeah, Episode 5 is now done and I hope you've enjoyed. So, have a good day or night or whatever it is. Stay healthy and safe. Enjoy your games. And see you next time. Yeah, next time as in a week. Hopefully this time I'll stick to it this time. But yeah, thanks for listening or watching. And yep, bye for now.